Hey everyone, welcome back to Hope and Coffee. I'm Hope with my coffee. Even though it's kind of colder now, I'm not mad about it. It has been such a hot week and it is very hot outside, which is why I am not by the pool right now. I think the heat index is about 115, and when I took Argos outside around 3 o'clock this afternoon, I had him hurry and try to stand in the shade because I just did not want this little man to get heat stroke. He is a chunky little guy. He has black fluff and he gets winded very easily. So I did my very best to keep him in the shade as much as possible, to limit his time on the concrete to super minimal, and tried to keep him only out there for about 3 to 5 minutes to let him do his main bulk of his work. And hopefully by the evening time, he will be ready to do the rest of his business. And I have a really great friend coming in town this afternoon who I have gotten to see. I mean, I've gotten to see him since I've moved over here from Georgia, but he's one of my D&D friends. And I'm so very excited he's getting to come over because he's not gotten to see my new space yet. So he is one of my friends. His name is Lee, and he is one of my D&D friends who was one of what I call my OG friends. And he is starting a campaign. He is going to kind of, I think, piggyback off the campaign that I started. And I'm very excited because now I finally get to be a player. But I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about playing D&D and what that means if you don't really know what D&D is, and kind of character creation. And this is going to be, I don't want to say it's going to be a quick video. I'm not going to go into super details about stats and stuff like that. I'm just going to tell you a little bit about how fun it can be, as if you let your imagination let you have fun. So, what is D&D? D&D, Dungeons and Dragons. Originally, the game was intended to be a tabletop role-playing game. You are supposed to envision yourself to be a certain, like, you are given a couple different races of characters and classes of character. Races of characters meaning like you are an elf, you are an orc, you are all these different kinds of types of characters. Or, that's your race. That is the type of character you are, like halfling. And when I tell you types of race, you can literally think Lord of the Ring type characters. Like, you can, if it was a type of character in Lord of the Rings, very possibly there is one that will equivocate to Dungeons and Dragons. Class means it is the type of character you play. Ranger, bard meaning like you are the musician, the minstrel, you are the songster, the poet. There are magicians and sorcerers. There are fighters, and there's humans, and there's thieves and rogues. So, I mean, that's your type of character. So you can be a halfling rogue. You can be an orc bard. You can take all these types and races of characters and take all these classes of characters and mix them up however you want to make them. And that is how you start building your character. And yes, there's a book. That's your player's handbook. Very easy to find in pretty much any bookstore. And I say any bookstore because you're almost never going to find it in a used bookstore. But you can also find a lot of usable templates online, and they will help support you in building these characters. You tell it what type of character you want to be, and then you can pick your class and all that sort of stuff. However, in this new campaign that Lee is starting, so piggybacking off of my campaign, I was the dungeon master. I was the one who ran the game in the previous session. I was the main storyteller, the narrator of the story. Lee is now taking over that role. I did not have a character previously because I was kind of this omnipresent person who oversaw everything and decided what was going to happen next. he will take over that role. So now I need a character who is a piece on the board. There's no real board, not usually, but sometimes. Sometimes there is a board, depending on who the DM is and if they want to get creative. I have chosen a race of character called a tabaxi. Now, it's not from the original set of character type or race type. A tabaxi is a cat. It is a cat humanoid type character. I have chosen my tabaxi to be small. So think hobbit sized. So she's only about 3.5 feet tall. She's a little girl. She's small. And she will be a thief. She will be a rogue. She will be a pickpocket who cannot help herself. And I am very excited to play her because her name will be Persephone. And yes, you can cringe all you want. I am very excited to play her. I know Lee will have such a hissy fit, but that's okay because I am so very excited. But as it comes to playing characters and when it comes to playing characters, it's all about having fun. And it's all about playing with the other players. And I think that is the most important part, is when you have other players in a campaign, you want to utilize your character, the one you've created, in such a way that you make it a collaborative effort with your other players. So that way it's all about like teamwork. You don't want to create a lot of discord. Like sure, you can have some friendly banter. You can even have some in-game animosity as long as outside of the game you know it's all in good fun and it's all for the story and y'all are having a good time. As long as everyone is having a good time and y'all have talked about it, it's meant to be role playing. When you're playing, you should be playing as your character. You shouldn't be saying, "Oh, well, I think my character would be doing this." You'd be like, "No, you are your character in that moment." So you're like, I'm going over there and I'm stealing something. And then you roll your dice and then you see if you can steal something. And then if you don't succeed, you have to try to figure out how to get out of it because you are your character. And that's the fun of D&D is you put yourself like an actor on a stage going through your role, but it's improv. And that is the biggest point of D&D. You are improving everything. Your D&D, your DM, your dungeon master is also kind of improving because it is almost guaranteed that whatever they have prepared ahead of time will get blown out of the water based on the choices of their players. I know it's happened to me dozens of times. I have prepared for the campaign for the day, and the choices of my players have completely negated everything that I prepare for. So we just wing it all day long, and it's so fun. And in the end, everyone has a great time, and we come back for the next session, and we just go from there, and we figure it out, and we have a wonderful time. But that's a little bit about D&D, and I'm so excited because I've been building my character a little bit this week. In some of my downtime after work and my lunch breaks to try to kind of figure out some of my little particulars about my character Persephone. And I'm very excited. So when Lee comes over this afternoon after he's I think he's on his way now, I plan to talk to him a little bit about his campaign, and I want to talk to him about my character a little bit, and we shall see. So thank you for tuning in. If y'all have any questions about just D&D in general, I'm not the Pentultimate expert. I am not Critical Role. I am not Matt Mercer. So he may be your he may be your best point of contact, but I can always have some fun and I may have a few answers to your questions. So leave them down below. Reach me at one of these social medias. Subscribe, and I will see you on the next page. Thanks for tuning in.